Hi, good evening. My name is Zachery Polk. It's 2:45 a.m. I'm making some valuable notes here about a serious project that I have underway. It's for a hotel here, um, but mostly this is average notes for every painter, every tradesman out there. When you got a big project and you want to make a showing, the quickest thing to do is get the trim painted, get the nail holes filled, get the caulk made. If the caulk's cracked up, peel the caulk back, extract the old caulk. If it's raw wood you're going down to, you want to lay some primer down. Caulk likes to adhere to new primer. After you get the trim painted in, and I'm just talking the face of the trim, you don't need to do the details of the trim, just the face of the trim and whatever cuts into the siding. The next thing you want to do, you want to get that siding color on. Get the siding color on, boom, the building changes. All of a sudden it looks done. To the untrained eye, the building looks done. But anybody in the trade, the building's not done because there's all kinds of little spots. Don't worry about the little tiny spots between the doors. Don't worry about the little tiny spots here and there. Get the majority of the field done. You can come back in and do the rest of it when you cut in and do the second coat. Next thing you want to do, you want to go in, you want to check all the door jambs. Door jambs are important. The paint's always peeling at the base of the jamb. You want to start the threshold, peel all the loose paint back. If the paint in the wood is spalted, which means cracked and puckering up, you want to gouge that paint out of there carefully and expose that surface. You want to expose that surface so you get some primer in there. And get as much primer in there as you can. You're not spreading money, you're spreading paint. You put the paint on there. That's what it's for. Keep your brush wet. It's like spades, you know. You don't save the spades till the end of the game. The game's called spades because that's what you use to pull the trump. You use this. That's the power. Okay, you're using the paint. The paint's the power. Use the paint. Put the paint on the surface. The caulk at the thresholds has to be cut back. It's cracked up. The thresholds are wet. It's obviously getting wet because the paint's peeling. Get that old caulk out of there. All of it. Scrape it out of there, cut it out of there, however you got to get it out of there, but get it out of there. Get it out of there, and then when you go to put your new urethane caulk down, your new tuck point caulk, whatever caulk you got, not no painter's caulk, not no silicone-based caulk, but some serious urethane tuck pointing caulk. You got to wipe down that area where you're going to put the caulk. You got to wipe it down with some solvent that's very strong. You can use mineral spirits if you want, but I wouldn't use mineral spirits. I use lacquer thinner. Lacquer thinner would be the best, in my opinion. You clean that surface with lacquer thinner. After you've got all that old caulk and old paint off of that surface, you put a nice bed of caulk down there. If you can't run a bead of caulk, practice and learn how to run a bead of caulk. Running a bead of caulk is not a hard thing. It's not a hard thing to do at all. And once you learn how to run a bead of caulk, you'll feel pretty damn good about yourself. You know, you're doing a preservation project. When you do an exterior job, it's preservation. Okay? Chances are, when you come in and you do a job, the person that did the job before you, whoever the sider was, whoever the carpenter was that did the trim around the doors and the trim around the windows and the metal cladding and all that, chances are they didn't do what they were supposed to do, okay? When you do metal wrap around anything exterior, there's a bead of caulk that goes on the back side of that when you put it together. It's hidden. You don't see it on the surface because it's hidden underneath. And there's as few nails as possible to put it together. Same thing goes with putting the trim on. You know, when you do trim around doors and windows, there's a bead of caulk behind there. You don't just slap the wood up and then run a bead of caulk over it. There has to be a bead of caulk underneath it. That's what seals it. That bead of caulk on top is the secondary bead of caulk. There has to be a bed of caulk underneath that piece of wood. When you lay a piece of trim across the header of a doorway and down the length of a doorway, it has to have a bead of caulk behind there to seal that shit down. It's preservation. And when you come in behind a hack of 15 carpenters that worked on a building for a number of years that didn't do any of that, now you have some serious archaeology work. And when you go in and price a job, you need to be able to explain these things to the homeowner when you price the job so that they understand why you're charging what you're charging. Nobody wants to go home with 10 cents on the dollar. And nobody wants to go home and try and sleep at night knowing that they had to do a half-assed job on a deal just to make a few dollars. Do you know that makes sense? Okay, do I have your attention now? I hope so. This is serious business. And the one thing that I do not like the most of all is when people make a mockery of the trades. When you grow up your whole life doing a trade, I don't care what it is, and you watch somebody else come along behind you and do a half-assed job, and he's driving a new truck and he's got all these new tools, it makes you wonder. All right? I'm not into wondering. I think it should be fair that everybody gets a decent job. And having everybody get a decent job is knowing how to sell the job. And knowing how to sell the job is knowing how to explain the job. Now, if I haven't explained it well enough, feel free to email me at bandanabro@yahoo, BANDANABRO@yahoo, or hunt my ass down. I'll put a great big target on my back. I'm Zachery Polk. I'm proud to bring you this message, and I'm proud to have the opportunity to be able to convey this to you, to hope that you can be able to better take care of the ones that you love. Because I'll tell you what, I enjoy being able to sleep at night, and I think that you should too. And that's about all I got to say about that. I love you, and that's why I'm taking this time. Have a good day.